Ram 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 Ram.
Hi, Jai.
Hi Nubia.
How is your heart feeling these days, Jai?
It's always a difficult question because I feel like my heart, the emotions that churn in my heart um, are constantly changing. But if I could try to encapsulate it, lately I feel a lot of anxiety in my heart. I feel a lot of compassion and concern in my heart. I feel hope in my heart, and I feel a little tinge of despair in my heart. But all of it is kind of wrapped up in a cocoon of love, because I also feel this very, very strong overarching love that I feel. I mean, to start with my family, and to the people who are close to me, and to the people I see and meet, and then to the people in the world who are suffering so much. I feel a tremendous amount of love. But I certainly don't feel above it, you know? I don't feel above the fray. I really feel it, both in my own personal issues as well as the global issues.
And amidst all this churning, where do you go for solace? What do you do to be able to exhale, to cope with all of this?
I try each day to take my morning remedy, which is to either sit with my guitar or to sit with my harmonium and chant, uh, make up a melody perhaps, usually chant Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, which I guess it's my, when thinking in terms of homeopathics, it's my constitutional. And I find that, most days I do that, and I find that then I'm able to kind of meet the day with um, just a little bit of calmness and a little bit of, well, perhaps this helps maintain that feeling of love that I was talking about. At other times, I want to crawl under the covers and just pull the pillow over my head, and uh, I think there's room in life for that also.
I see you doing your japamala all the time in many different places, many different situations. And just curious if you can share with us, like, what is this practice and what it means for you?
Well, the practice of japa, or quiet / sometimes silent repetition of a mantra, in a way, it's the introspective side of kirtan and bhakti. In kirtan, we're singing out, we're calling, we're expressing. In japa, oftentimes we're saying the same mantras with the same sense of repetition, but we're saying them so quietly and listening to the heartbeat as it pulses within the repetitions. Maharajji, my guru, said, if you say the name of Ram, the impossible becomes possible. And I feel like, one day at a time, just meeting life, receiving life, stepping into life. Sometimes it seems impossible, with a level head and an open heart. But the japa for me really helps nurture that calmness. I'm not essentially a calm person, but this helps me stay calm. And also, in bhakti, we engage our senses. It's not it's not a practice where we go out of the body. It's a practice where we use all the senses of the body in remembrance of the divine. And for me, there's something extremely connecting and soothing just with my fingers touching the wood, the tulsi wood. Perhaps there's some deeper esoteric science around that I don't know, but I will just say that on the personal level, I feel this wood and I say the name, and almost immediately I feel so much more calm and grounded and ready to dive into my emotions, but with clarity rather than chaos.
And this japa mala you have is a smaller one, 27 beads. Will you do a round with us here?
Of 27?
Yeah.
Yeah, the normal japa malas are 108 beads. I've always found that this hand mala, which is 27, which is a quarter of 108, I just like the feel of it better. It's less cumbersome. Sits nicer in my hand. So we'll say 27 Rams. Ram, 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 Ram. And I first, really discovered the power, for lack of a better word, of saying Ram with japa beads when I was with my guru, Neem Karoli Baba. So now when I do japa with tulsi beads, automatically one part of my mind goes to, it's not nostalgia, it just goes back to the place when I was sitting at his feet. And, the connection, I believe, and I know, and I trust, and I hope that connection is always there. But sometimes we're not all that aware of the connection. And when I say my beads, when I say Ram with my beads, I feel Maharaj's presence just a lot. I just feel his presence a lot.
This connection you're talking about, what are you talking about? Feeling connected to what?
When I talk about feeling connected to my guru, it's funny because I know that the connection to Maharaji, to Neem Karoli Baba, is like it's the through line of what I feel to be lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. So it's not a fragile thing. But my awareness and my remembrance of that connection is a fragile thing, because my mind, like most of us, my mind goes in 1,000 different directions. When I say that through japa or through singing, through chanting, I feel the connection of Maharaji, I feel my connection with Maharaji stronger. It's more just saying that my perception of our connection becomes a little bit more focused. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes in the really good times, I actually feel him in the room with me. And one could say that's imagination. I once had a very long conversation with Ram Dass about the spiritual value of imagination. He was asking me what I thought about it. And we both agreed that, like so many things, imagination is a tool that can take us in one direction or in another direction. But sometimes when we imagine the presence of a loved one, or in this case, speaking of Maharaji, it awakens the awareness of the presence that's already there.
What are you talking about when you talk about Maharaj's presence. What is that?
Well, we sing in the Hanuman Chalisa that Hanuman sits at the doorway to Ram. And Ram is the infinite one. Tulsidas says, Ram is so vast and so incalculably huge, but even his name is greater than him. So how can we approach such infinite vastness? I mean, there are many paths in spirituality, but I'll say for myself, I see Maharaji as the one who, for me, is sitting at the doorway to Ram. And so I don't pray for him to get out of the way so I can pass through the doorway. For me, the doorway, in this case, is essentially the same with that which is on the other side of the door. So yeah, I pray to him. I pray to his form. I think of his form. Do I think his form is the end all of all worship? No, but it's the end all of my worship. Right now, for the last 50 some odd years. So yeah, I can't say what Maharaji will represent for any other person. One of the, brilliant things about Maharaji is that, he manifested differently for everyone. And when I say manifested, I mean everyone perceived him in a different way, and everyone received from him in a different way, and perhaps a different mood, and perhaps a different perspective. For me, it's not ethereal, because Maharaji was a very heavy, big guy wrapped up in a very heavy blanket. And when he hit me on the head, his hand had a lot of weight to it. So I sense with Maharaji, for me, I sense a very big presence, a very strong, dare I say earthy? I don't know, earthy. He's not on the earth necessarily anymore, or perhaps he is, but there's this very solid presence that leaves no room for the demon army of negativity. He's so strong, and his love is so strong, and his gaze is so strong, it scares away the Rakshasas. It scares away the enemies of love.